Brian, my husband, he was very easygoing, very light-hearted. I met him at a local dance. I had no idea he was in the Navy. I just thought he was a local boy. He always had a love of creating things, making things. In the bottom of the garden, Brian made me a vegetable plot. Brian always took care of the lawn. He took great pride in mowing his lawn. He quite liked that. Towards the end of 2019, Brian had had a pretty bad year in and out of hospital. We were recommended to St Wilfrid's Hospice. Paul Wogan turned up one day to offer us the possibility of someone who could come and have a chat with Brian, just occasionally, maybe an hour's conversation, because he was really restricted to his chair and just indoors.
Paul spoke to me. We arranged a meeting to come round and see Brian and Margaret, and we just had like a cup of tea, a nice easy discussion. I guess in the back of my mind I did think that if it didn't work, then I don't have a problem talking to Paul, and also if it didn't work for me, it possibly wasn't working for Brian and Margaret. But that just wasn't the case. For me it was a perfect match, and as it developed, I mean, Margaret and Brian, I felt like they were just an extension of my family.
They got on like a house on fire, as if they'd known each other all their lives. One thing which is a big help to me is to go to the hydrotherapy pool at the hospital. But of course that meant leaving Brian, which I didn't want to do. But when Michael came on the scene, he would come and sit with Brian and they'd chat away with their coffee, and when I came back, an hour and a half had gone, maybe 2 hours. And they're still chatting away and laughing. They just were on the same wavelength.
And then there was like offshoots, Brian was telling me things that I was interested in that I didn't know about, and I was telling him things. We actually had quite a lot in common.
Towards the end, he couldn't have much of a conversation, just a few words, and then he wouldn't be able to go on. But even so, it meant so much.
I think for me, I was blessed because Margaret asked me to the funeral, and that really sort of still chokes me up. I don't know whether I suggested it or Margaret did, but I said, if you want, I'll still pop and see you. It was like family I was visiting. It was almost like I was coming to see an aunt. I think the characteristics of the role, it's really to have someone that is friendly, is confident, is able to listen. I think listening is a great gift. This is a type of role that's open to anybody, any age, and from any background, because I think everybody brings something different.
The Community Support Volunteer Project is a befriending scheme, which means that volunteers can visit patients, carers in their own homes and build some form of friendship with them. I got involved in 2020 in the first lockdown. I saw an advert on Instagram, called up, and they'd found someone who met sort of the same interests I have, so music, cooking, and just having a laugh really, a good sense of humour. And then I gave Diane a ring for the first time, which was, I will admit, a bit strange because obviously you've not spoken to this person before and she is that bit older than me. So it was different, but the age gap doesn't matter.
I call Diane once or twice a week, and then I try and come sort of once every 2 weeks, don't I, and come and see you?
Yes.
I often tell you about what I've baked during the week, make you hungry.
She does, yeah.
And then I'll show you pictures of all the things that I've done.
We've kind of shared each other's lives now. She's got a very nice personality, and it helps me, just to feel a bit brighter about the life ahead. For me, it's a tremendous difference. It really has.
Volunteering in a hospice environment can be quite a daunting thing to do, but also quite rewarding. St Wilfrid's themselves offer a really great support system in a form of peer support group meetings where volunteers can meet, you can form this kind of community, and other volunteers share their experiences, and if you've got any problems you can share yours as well. Paul and Tracy, the volunteer coordinators, they're there also on hand to answer any of your questions. There's always someone at the end of the phone to speak to and to help you and to guide you.
It's nice to feel that there's somebody out there who just really does care about you.
Anyone can get involved with the Community Support Volunteer Project. Doesn't matter your age, your background, it doesn't matter your ability or your situation, you can still do good.